Hello.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, Vambos. Welcome to. Well, what are we on right now? We've got all this stuff going on that isn't on. It isn't us. It's from the StreamYard people. We got to get rid of that. We are here, Bambos.
Yes.
It's what day is it today?
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. It is Wednesday. I don't even know the month right now. As far as today's topic is, it's kind of a vague, open topic.
Yeah.
Non-traditional sex. I think. What are your thoughts on this?
Like, we're not going to discuss this now.
We're not going to discuss this now. All we're going to do is stay in tune for what are we doing, Bambos?
A wonderful chaos.
Every time.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better music to get me in the mood to do this. You know, today's topic, I remember when I suggested this topic to Bambos kind of looked at me like, really? Are we going there? I mean, that was my thought. Or was it that we were bringing Tomas on to talk about it?
It was that we're bringing Tomas on to talk about it.
Beautiful. And as you see, we always want a blue screen or a green screen to kind of encapsulate what's going on for the day. So today's blue screen is, what do we have? Table dancing, blue light live show. And it says, what does it say there?
Sexy girls.
Pointing to you, by the way.
Where are they?
So Tomas is kind of an interesting character.
Yeah, he's a dear friend.
I
met him 4 years ago in the pickup community.
The pickup community, really? He was there with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he was one of the first people I met.
Okay.
And we were sitting around a round table with 7 guys.
Okay.
And everyone was doing a check-in, and Tomas was actually sharing how he was experiencing stuckness in the relationship that he was in.
Okay.
But it was such a heavy moment. So at some point, I looked around the table.
Okay.
And I saw no one was actually listening. So I actually just said, Tomas, can I ask you to stop talking for a second? Like, how long are you in this group? Like, he can make me confirm that, but he was there for quite long.
Okay.
And this was a repetitive story that he would share every week with the group.
Okay.
As far as if I get my facts straight.
Okay.
And I told him he's not allowed to share this story ever again. Actually, he's not allowed to come back to this group ever again unless he makes a big change. And his big change would have to be to move out of the house.
Wow.
From the relationship. Go and stay with a friend. Like, I don't care. Like, you're gonna make a change this week, today. Wow. You're going to stay with a friend for 1 or 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, you can kind of tune into what your next move will be.
So you really, you didn't tolerate it. You said no to that behavior.
I said no to the behavior, and it did change his life. He never went back.
Wow. Well, I mean, basically, the only question everyone's going to have is, what was the thing you said no to? But I think we're going to have him on to discuss that, of course. Yeah. I mean,
I said no to stuckness.
To stuckness in him?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just no to being stuck.
Well, if you're going to come every week to a group and you're going to share the same
story over and over
with the same heaviness, then that shit has to stop.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that can get old quick. Yes. So, is there anything else you'd like to prep for Tomas? I mean, let's get to something clear. Like, Tomas is coming on. We don't even really know. At least I don't really know where the conversation is going to go. So in some ways, it's going to be a surprise for both of us.
Andy, when the fuck do we know?
We don't.
Exactly.
But especially with Tomas, because I don't know a lot of the background. I just kind of had an intuition that this would be a nice talk. He's actually at the office, which I think, is that true? Is he? Yeah. Which I think is kind of fascinating. We're having this talk during lunch break.
He works at Nikon.
No, please. Okay, here we go. We're bringing on Tomas Hovarth. Is that correct pronunciation?
Horvath. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, guy.
Was I accurate with the description as far as my memory allows me to?
Yeah, I think you spotted out the most annoying thing in my life, so you were listening, but that was not always repeating, and I was not feeling stuck completely, but that was a big chunk of stuckness in my life. Yeah, so within the time that I spent with the group, I really felt like I grew, but that was a big blockage, which
Well, I
you
didn't
did.
necessarily take away from Bambos. Oh, by the way, I got a strong echo. You hear that? Uh, I don't necessarily know. Oh, that's better. I don't know necessarily think that you were stuck. I thought that Bambo was sick of you actually being stuck. So you might have been in a perfect state, but you basically said no more. So I think it
No.
had less to do with you than him at that point.
No, I was not in a perfect stage. That's actually one of the biggest change in my life. What he did to me that night. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Indeed.
you never went back to the relationship anyway.
Yes. True.
Yeah. Beautiful. So help me understand so we're kind of going in this direction of what society. So like, let's set this up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like there's two things in society where someone might have a lot of spiritual awakening, but they're like two issues that always linger. I always talk about the two issues, right? What are those? Any desire to share, or you're just going to let me fill in the gap?
Fill in the gap.
So basically, I'm always pointing out over and over again that you can do a lot of development, but sex and money are kind of those last remnants where people don't have a round feeling of comfort in themselves. That's what I found, at least in my own journey. So you'll find people that are big spiritual advisors and things, but when it comes to sex and money, they've often got real big hangups. Right?
Yes.
Like you can find someone that's really at peace with a lot of stuff.
I also experienced that, so
indeed. I have to question to what degree they're at peace, though.
Okay, but let's just say at least you can see they appear to be more at peace than they actually are. When those two topics arise, you're like, wow, you got some issues, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that I was curious is, so like, when we're going to dig into the sexual one today, not the money, or they might even be very much connected in some ways, right? As I sure most
Let's stick to sex.
We're sticking to sex. Like clearly that was it. Exactly. That's what I figured we'd get from you. And I was kind of like, I'd like to dig into the areas where you see in your own life with whatever behavior you care or want to share with us, where you felt like whenever you maybe discuss these topics or whenever you were open, that the people around you weren't accepting of those topics. Like, what are the things that non-traditional, where you see society wasn't willing or able to meet you in your desire or your need?
Oh wow, that's a good one. So early on my relationship with my ex, I didn't open myself up to my own desires. That I actually want to have some kinky stuff going on in our relationship, even though it was actually, to be honest, very satisfying sexually, physically. So that was one. So I never bring up the topic of having a threesome or anything, which I always wanted. And before the relationship, for example, I couldn't simply embrace my need to actually just go on without any marriage or long term, just to fuck around, basically. So that was also one. And then later
let's take this piece by piece.
Yes, sorry.
I always get a bit of a feedback loop when we start.
Yes,
but
sorry.
It slows down. So you were in a relationship where you already had a desire to have a three-way experience.
Yes,
and you had that desire before you got into the relationship.
Yeah.
And then you got in the relationship, but you weren't like open about that before or even during that.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
at some point, did you finally say, "Hey, listen, I really need to tell you something"? Like, how did you engage the moment when you thought, "Wow, this is important to me, and I want to bring it forward with this person"?
Yes. So it happened only when it was already going down the drain. So it was a forceful, let's open this relationship because I'm just feeling shitty. So and she wanted to stuck around, and I told her that if you want to really embrace what I am, and I was not talking like this that time, like we could have some threesomes and swinger clubs and things like that. So it was very forceful. It was not loving at all. It's my own selfish desires, like boiling, and bam, it wanted to come out, basically.
I think this is kind of one of these terrible situations where I see happen a lot, is that basically everything we desired, I know this of my own relationships as well. When I desired something in my relationship, it only came out through frustration. Because it's as if the communications isn't already there where we can communicate openly around things. Then basically what happens is that then it turns into, if we were going to stay together, then basically at least I want to have some of this experience.
It sounds a little bit though that we're using the tension to leverage a desire which was always there but never expressed.
Yeah.
And like, were you aware of that was happening, or was it very unconsciously communicated?
You mean the pressure inside? Well, I was aware of the pressure, that I'm not happy. I see other women beautiful. I want to involve them in my sexual life. So it was there. But what is really clear is that the conditioning from my family, that you're supposed to be married, don't ever cheat, don't. The women are just. Angelic figures, they just want love, and how do you dare even to say this? And I saw it through, for example, it was just a divorce in the family, and it was such a big turmoil. My mother could never forgive my stepbrother, and like so much around me, everybody was pretending that it's supposed to be just only love, and you never leave your wife, and knowing this, like, and knowing that I don't want to lose them, and having what is inside, like, I'm not gonna expose this, sorry. It's not appropriate. So in that sense, I knew it's there, but I always for a very long time I could really suppress it, but it came out in cheating. So I was cheating my ex like at least 10 times every year, once or twice, or I don't know, with hookers, basically, because I didn't even want to put my energy to. So yeah, it's just a quick fix to leave the life that I skipped, basically, and those things. So a lot of ugly stuff was coming up.
So it sounds really, wow. It sounds a lot like
We get a really strong
preconditioned.
echo. I don't know if you have headphones, but it'll help because
I can bring it's just 1 minute then.
yeah, maybe we'll get some headphones. The thing that I find really curious about this, and I find it often about every time when we suppress something, it'll often come out in a reaction to.
That's a basic
principle that we
yeah.
discuss a lot,
Yeah.
the paradoxes. And so obviously when I hear Tomas speak, then I kind of am getting to some degree when he discusses his culture, which I think it's somewhere in Eastern Europe. Was it?
He's from Hungary.
From Hungary. I'd be curious to also engage and ask around where that sort of that, wherever he was held back within the culture, and how he feels like that has impacted him, right?
Yeah.
Tomas, we were just discussing a little bit when you went away, I was curious, like, where have you felt like the Hungarian culture, as I was just informed by Bambos, how has that feeling of like the suppression impacted you in, as far as you know, in terms of your desire sexually? Like, do you feel like that suppression has somehow impacted you later in your life now? Now we can't hear you. We don't have an echo, but we can't hear you. Oh, we almost heard you. Now we don't hear you at all. We still can't hear you, Tomas. Somehow the mic isn't working. Yeah, you're gonna check, do something again. That's fine.
Yeah.
Set up whatever you set up. We'll talk until you come back. Yeah, we can't hear you. No, Mike. We'll let you know when we hear you. What were you gonna say?
Oh, it's really like pre-programming.
Yeah.
And
is it better now?
Yeah, we're back. We have you now. Yeah.
Okay, then maybe it doesn't work with this.
Okay.
I never had an echo on any meeting, so I don't know why.
Okay.
So Did you get Andy's last
Yes,
question?
yes, I get the question. If this affected me later on in my life, this conditioning, and yes, indeed, even today, it affects me in some level. Not so much anymore. Definitely, I'm not feeling anything boiling inside. Um, for example, even with my current girlfriend, I'm very open today. It took me, a few occasions when I just skipped the topic, but actually just a few days ago I opened up to her that I don't want to. So I didn't go on any pimping. For a longer pimping means that chasing women basically for sexual companionship for a long time, and I really want to do it with her. So the only way is then to look for threesome, so we could go together, and we talked about that. And this, so in this time the topic came up very easily. I just opened the topic up that baby, you want to see me with other woman, you are so excited. And I also feel like I just need a reset, because when the original topic what I heard, this is going to be about sex addiction, so I got rid of really a lot of sex addictive stuff from my life, but I'm still jerking off a lot, I would say, and I need a reset, like an OFAP. And basically I told her very easily this time that and she's just, yeah, of course, I'm so excited. And we were discussing how would you approach women yourself and how I would do it, and we agreed that let's do it on my way because hers was a bit shaky. So
what was your way? And what was hers?
My way is be upfront. So if we together approach a woman, then we just say, hey, look, we both find you cute, and just to try, like we would like to have a threesome, and what do you think about it? And you will be the third one. and
We're not
going from
inviting
that,
you. We're not inviting you for somebody else. It will be the three of us.
yes, exactly. So just to be very upfront and honest with anybody from the street or a cafe or anything. So to start with that, so we are not beating around the bush, and bringing this topic up in a way that I told her, if you want to go in a way, so it's her way that we just chit chat, and la 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 la. But I told her that I'm not feeling comfortable directing the conversation from there to a sexual topic. So I was always impressed, and I never ever felt like an indirect way to approach a woman is appropriate. And it always felt to me like I just want to be very honest with them. And I even I reduced what I wanted during the time, even with Bambos and the fellow guys who I was doing these challenges with, that I approached them saying that let's have a date or stuff. But to be honest, sometimes I just wanted to bam, like so I didn't want to say even the real, but it was more real. So it was just a training. But now I just want to be very honest in a still a gentle way. I don't need to be profane or anything, but just really I want to respect this being in front of me with the truth, which I'm having an intention. We are having an intention. Why do we have to beat around the bush? Like it's just like that.
So you've spoken about this with your current
Yes,
girlfriend.
exactly. Yeah.
And have you guys acted out it? Have you been out in public and had that time to sort of say, hey, we're interested? Has that happened yet?
I think they're waiting for the corona to fade down.
It just happened a few days ago. Finally, we could meet up. She's not afraid anymore, the corona and stuff. So I wanted to talk to her personally about this. So not yet. What I did before is that I went on my own way, and she knew always that I'm just doing this. And we have been to a swinger club, but that's it. So I'm mostly on my own, and I saw that she doesn't like it. She wants to be with me there, and she really always told me that she really wants to see me, and I say, oh, okay. Then and she convinced me basically that she really wants to support me on my own way. And also she opened up me about perfectly and made me embrace fully one of my most shameful desire, basically. Yeah.
Nice.
That's,
Tomas,
yeah.
I'm still getting that horrible. Okay, go. Okay, so you actually shared approaching a woman. Hey, I find you cute. We want to have a threesome with you, and there's nothing wrong with that approach. And I can't like there's something in where it says, are you only going for the looks, or hey, we find you cute, do you want to have a coffee with us, let's talk a little bit, get to know the person before introducing a threesome, because it feels a bit like putting something so confronting. Even if even if there was a yes, you're actually getting a no very quickly.
Yes. So indeed, I'm actually really into connecting. I see that it makes the sexual act much more enjoyable. So
Yes.
I had like a peak in my dating life when I could seduce women easily and really absolutely no interest. I was getting very straightforward, and but in the bed there was nothing. So I couldn't even be strong, to be honest. And on the other hand, my girlfriend definitely into connecting. So my intention is that she has to enjoy it too. So actually, she has to enjoy it a lot. So to make it happen, I'm willing to sacrifice hours, even if I have to put a price on my time. Absolutely, but it has to be upfront. So if the first reaction of this woman is not a no way, get away from me, but like a typical pretender reaction who actually interested, but the social conditioning of the woman says no, you are a slut if you do this. But then they start to do a debate or anything, like they feel offended and they judge and la 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 la. That's what I'm looking for, because that's for me eventually a healthy woman who has a certain vulnerability that she cannot open up about it so straightforwardly, but she stays. If someone stays in front of you, that's a signal that she has a vulnerability, and I need to help her to open up. So my girlfriend was challenging me, like, isn't it manipulation? I would say, if she says uh, i'm I'm gonna walk away, if you say it only once, for example, because I want to use also X-rated language with her at some point, and I would tell her, please, yes, I don't want to force you to do anything. And uh, truth to be told, this is what I believe it should be. So she has to have a way out anytime. If I hear a no, clear no, thank you, respect, goodbye.
So
But
what
if
I'm hearing you saying is, just to kind of encapsulate it, when you go into a situation right now with your girlfriend, basically you're allowing yourself to have it unfold a bit, because in some ways you don't really know where it's going to go. And if there's no strong no, you'll continue just seeing how far it can go.
Absolutely, and just tease the little devil on her left shoulder, is she interested, or she is just wasting time?
Yeah. So we got two comments coming in from Mariana. The first one was just celebrating you and coming up so openly and sharing this, because obviously you're not the only person, but you're maybe the only person that has a full-time job that's sort of taking a coffee break and saying, let's have this talk. So that's kudos to you. How do you make sure no one gets hurt? I believe it's very vulnerable to be in a threesome.
I believe it's very vulnerable to be in a threesome.
Let's just say it is very vulnerable to be in a threesome. You're actually opening yourself up in any regard. So how do you make sure no one gets hurt? Can you even make sure that?
I would say immediately, if she seems to be opening up to the possibility. What I used to do, even when I had my peak, I always told, even before I really start to touch her or anything, if I move too fast, you can always say no. And I make a pause. I make it very soft, and you can say a no anytime. Really, this is for you to enjoy and explore what you like. To be honest, me as a man, if I really want to be a man, honestly, guys, who, if you are listening, isn't it the most beautiful thing that a woman has an orgasm? I don't think it's the sex is really about us. So for me, that's the intention also with the threesome. I want to, if I get gifted by them, like double blowjob or anything, I'm happy. But to be honest, I want her to feel like she can give in to the little devil on her left shoulder and not be judged, to feel safe and to explore what I couldn't explain. I believe women want to explore. Yes.
My question to you is, what's underlying like the excitement for you? Like what's the desire in you that you feel you're fulfilling in that?
Is to give the same freedom to the women who inside the same as me, who and women are even more judged by being promiscuous, that we are praised. So for me it's easy, but I have this strong desire to discover those women who can be open up, even though at the beginning they are not safe to open up, and give them this gift, like live your life once, like just be crazy. And to be honest, that makes me feel really good.
And that's what I'd like to get into. So there's a desire in you, and I'm kind of curious because there's the thing we say, and then there's underneath the thing we say a deeper need, a want, or so I'm trying to see what's beneath all of this. If you can dig there and share with that what that would look like.
Can you rephrase it?
I don't know. Did I put you?
I'm trying to look beyond this thing. If anything comes up, is kind of feeling the same what I already mentioned.
Okay. If I was to answer it myself, like if I think about the threesome, there is often a sense of like, how do I go beyond, like push the limits of societal norm?
Yeah.
Like how do I go beyond what's considered acceptable? Almost like if threesomes were so normal, they wouldn't be interesting anymore, because now it wouldn't be something that I was in a way revolting against or having some reaction to.
Oh yes.
So it's in some ways, I sense in myself that the desire comes from almost an anti-authoritarian feeling.
Oh yes.
As much as it does from the out of the excitement of the event. I mean, every time I've overplayed the excitement of an event, the next day I felt completely vacant inside and empty. So I've often felt like we create an idea like this is going to be an incredible experience, only to be disappointed afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in our time together, it did get to a point where it was really too much.
What was too much?
Well, in my own life, there was a moment where I would be dating 2 to 3 girls in a day, bringing them home.
Wow.
And I was kind of living that image of having a lot of women. And I remember it broke me at some point. Like I literally broke. I was like, wow, this is making me sick, like emotionally, mentally, physically sick. Like I couldn't approach another woman anymore.
Wow.
And when I stopped, and I had that 2-month detox before the ecstatic awakening where we met again, I saw how addicted I was to the approach, the space in between seeing a woman and approaching her. But everything was not important. Like the illusion of having a lot of women was actually me avoiding being in a relationship. When you have a lot of girls lined up, you never get hurt because you always have someone else to fall back on. And that was really my biggest discovery. I never, at that point, allowed myself to fully be with one person and allow that vulnerability to be there. And when I hear you speak right now, I'm like, wow, you've really developed, but I'm not sure if you've developed through the experience, because as you're talking, I notice I go a lot in my head and instead of in my body, and then I feel a disconnect. So I'm kind of wondering, did you go on a training, or did you actually experience the things that you're sharing with us?
Not yet, not yet. Since we don't meet Bambos, I'm just reading books of all kinds, and recently I just listened Alan Roger Curry's books, all of them that he released, and I just felt like this resonates with me so much. So finally, someone could point like so bluntly and straightforwardly and honestly. He talks about everything that I from my childhood till my current life, I always felt this is so true.
Mm.
This is so true. It must be true because otherwise this world wouldn't work. So
You say it is so true. What is the it you're talking about in the book?
everything that he talks about. This guy is talking about straightforward, honest communication in one book, or and then how to handle women's reactions when it comes to you approaching them directly with what you really feel. So, for example, in my opinion, men still I'm not a researcher or anything, but many men really feels physical attraction at the first moment basically, and he is ready to bam, like this simple fact that why should I hide it? Really, why should I hide it? This is true. And then he talks about that actually women expect or don't expect it but want to hear this, and he breaks down every little aspects of the society. Why is it like that? And when he breaks it down, it really captures me so
Mm.
much because
So
this
when
is how I
this
always
is, if I hear it, it's sort of there's a programming that I'm taking away from your how being raised in Hungary. I'm imagining it was pretty conservative,
yes
and and if I hear you correctly, part of your reprogramming is sort of allowing yourself to express what you want, how you want it, and then allow the person you're with to sort of meet you there. And I
yes
guess
exactly.
in some ways, the first person you were with, obviously, there was no opportunity to even share that, if I
Yeah,
understand.
I didn't feel open at all with her, so I was also felt judged by her.
Yeah.
It's like
And the question I have for you is, so you went in that first relationship. I'd love to touch on that a little bit. So you started to go to prostitutes during that first relationship. And how was
yes.
that? How was that process for you? Like, what was going on inside of you to say, okay, this isn't working for me. Now I have to go out to get that sexual need. Like, what was going on
Yes.
emotionally, not the rational? What was really inside of you?
Yes. Yes, so it was not necessarily a sexual dissatisfaction. As I said, I believe it was actually a very satisfying relationship, even though she was not appealing to me physically.
Mhm.
I had this experience also after a Tantra festival when one of the least appealing women made me actually turned on, which made me think a lot since then, like, what is happening inside me? Never mind. But when I was going to the hookers, I was looking for peace and and
Wow.
and and to the fact that with this woman I don't have to deal after with all kinds of shitty manipulation and crying and I can just have a sex and love her, like trying to make her have an orgasm and do my best and just walk away
Wow.
without any consequence. So it was not a physical dissatisfaction. I felt like I need a break from this constant, uh, like I don't want to go home. And to go there was like I don't have to explain her how was my day. I don't want to talk about my day. I want to be silent. You know.
So she satisfied basically just a need in you that you weren't obviously getting in the relationship you had, and that need, I'm trying to like pinpoint it to a word. Is there? I hear peace is the word that you say came out from you.
Yes, I felt so much peace and calmness after I visited the Oku. So I didn't have this, oh, what I did actually. I felt for many days actually, I felt, finally. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that John Vargas, who is a friend of mine from San Francisco, he he wrote 2 comments, and I think this is kind of a beautiful comment he's made, actually. And we use these terminology, and terminology is it's almost for shock value. But when you describe them, he says, "I love my sex worker," right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a beauty in actually elevating that person, their role, the position, and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And in some ways, by by giving them these terms that have often the hooker, the prostitute, the whatever it is, it actually doesn't celebrate what gift
No,
they're
not at all.
and
They deserve much more.
And if I hear it for you, I mean, and I love that Ron made this comment because it's obviously I fall prey to it as well, just because, hey, I'll throw out the word. It sounds shocking. But the honest truth is it's a person who's actually giving you something that you're not able to give yourself. And we don't celebrate that. In fact, we associate it a lot with the darker side, which is also there. And we can't ignore that, the human trafficking and all of the things that also come along with that industry. But it's on another level, there is something that's actually very loving that's actually going on that we also aren't we're not almost allowed to say that, because by saying that we're also not conforming to societal understanding of what it should be, especially by religious metrics.
Tomas,
exactly. Yeah.
What is the difference in how you would have sex with? I also saw, I avoid the word make love. Have sex with your ex and have sex with a sex worker.
It's almost the same, to be honest. With her, I could feel like I can make her pleasure. She had sometimes 2 orgasms or something. I had a very good sex drive. I wouldn't do it differently with her. It's the feeling that comes after and before. There is no before there is excitement, which was also missing. I forgot to mention that. But also the feeling after that. I don't have to deal with the shit all the time, there is no pressure after and so much expectations because we are in a relationship. I have to always watch out for her emotional state, and she never says anything directly to me to explain, okay, I was hurt. She was always saying like, oh, nothing. Yeah, and really nothing. And it was always something and everything, basically. So this guy, yeah, and I totally agree with you. And these women should be celebrated and not stoned for their services.
Yeah.
Like, do you consider yourself to be a good lover? And what is a good lover?
Oh, it depends what the woman wants, I would say. So if she is having deficiency in a masculine uh, sex, because her boyfriend is just loving, but like like a spaghetti spine, then I think a good lover for her is to bam, like in every hole, like a man. But if she needs everything, like like a girlfriend, boyfriend, then I think you have to find a balance between being an accommodating person and being a raw masculine man in throughout the whole relationship. But in the bed, you have to. I want to be really masculine. I would never want to be with a woman who is not submissive or anything. So being a good lover for me is being with a submissive feminine woman and give her a good ride in the bed if it comes to sexuality, and in life being much more accommodating, open, loving, la la la. So it depends on what kind of relationship we are in, but something like that.
You said a lot. Like I like from the very moment you start to answer the question, even calling a man spaghetti spine, like like is there, like, are we talking about the more feminine men who are a little bit more gentle? Like what are you referring to there?
True, it's a bit harsh. I'm sorry for those who might feel offended. Yes, feminine man. So it's more like, I can speak from my own perspective, I would say. So I'm sorry. Yeah, there are feminine men who I think they they might match better with a masculine woman who just leads them. And but I don't know how those men, I cannot even talk about it, how those men can, they have to be submissive in that, and it's fine for the woman. Yeah, I'm talking about those men, I guess, yes.
Yeah.
Are you able
Yeah.
to also surrender to your feminine? Like if you would you allow yourself to also be submissive?
Yes, absolutely. I think I lost a lot of my masculinity in some sense, to be more in the feminine side. So in dance, for example, I started to follow more easily. If in a tantric dance, I knew how it was before, and now I can be more supple and easygoing. In the bed, I don't know. I don't even want to feel that I'm led. Basically, if she would want to, I would.
Would you go as far as, for instance, like allowing yourself to go and to be tied up and all of this sort of BDSM sort of activity, or you sort of, do you hold, like, is there a boundary that you say, oh, or I just haven't got there yet?
Boundary. If that, again, the question is it good for you, my little girl? That if it really turns her on, as tie me up, be my guest. So absolutely, if she wants to even be the man, I would do that too.
So you actually are attracted to submissive women, and you actually connect submissiveness into femininity, like to very very feminine women. But I don't actually
I think
have
so.
that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, I think so.
Can you talk more to that?
About being submissive and feminine altogether. Yeah, I joined the two together in some sense, but of course they can be separated. I just love when a woman simply give in to my lead desires and what I want to do in the bed, and so submissive is feminine for me means. So I'm trying to join the two together, what I'm talking about real time. So I'm sorry if I'm just not making sense all the time. And the feminine for me is this very sweet energy, very thin, very sweet voice. The looks is like not like my face, but you can, I don't know, you just feel like it's so fragile, and these two, it really goes hand in hand to me. And although of course it can be separated.
When I hear him talk, I actually hear a very clear, like, it's almost like not even, he wouldn't even need to be the guest, meaning anyone we could talk to that has a desire, almost, I would almost call it a desire for dominance.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it in myself. Like, I used to go out with women where I found that I needed the kind of weak woman that I could take care of. And there was a kind of a masculine need in myself.
Yeah.
So I basically went out, found the woman, and then I'd become really resentful because in some ways I was taking care of them, but there was a behavior. And I remember when I get triggered most was when I saw their behavior was somehow leading other men on, because I could see, because I knew what that animal thing in me was that want to conquer this inadequacy. So I'd feel when other men were attracted to the same thing, but the woman themselves wasn't necessarily aware that they were pulling that energy towards them. And I saw that pattern a lot in my life as I was evolving in my own sexuality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you, how was your feeling on that? I mean, I know that of you, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I in the past, I always attracted women with daddy issues.
Yeah.
And then I became the dad.
Yeah. And I mean, if I look at you, like, your maturity is like, I can finally begin to say, hey, I don't need to take care of you in our relationship.
I don't want to take care of, not in that way. Like, I'm not there to be a therapist or a dad.
Yeah.
Like right now Wow.
That's the right echo. That's what I'm saying. Either you put it here And you talk to it, or you put it there and the echo goes up?
Leave it there.
Okay.
It was loud in my ears. Yeah, right now I really want someone that can meet me on all the levels. But in no way do I want to meet someone that it's always like this. I want someone that I could make love to in the full spectrum, but I also want to take myself through the whole spectrum. I don't always want to be this, which is where I normally feel very comfortable in, like being very like The Rock.
Yeah.
I also want to feel that I can lean into and do it very consciously, also not like do it in a manipulative way, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Which is how I used to also behave to get what I want.
Yeah, you were always very masculine. So it was, for me, even I started to feel like, wow, I don't want to go so far as you go. Yeah. I remember like always like bam, bam, like everything is just super masculine. Yeah.
That's softened, obviously, in the last few
Sorry?
years. Yeah. With Bambos, that's softened a lot, right?
Yeah, I agree. I see much more softness in him. But he, at that time, he could open up to me. So I felt like, wow, that's amazing gift. So he was the biggest gift in my life all the time.
The funny thing is, I always thought I was open, but I wasn't as open as I thought that I was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think you could convince yourself you're open, because I can walk up to any woman on the street and chat her up and have this free conversation, not realizing that in some ways that's not vulnerable.
It was very disconnected.
Yeah,
like it wasn't heart connected. And the place where I am now, I have been celibate for over a year. That changed recently, but shut up. But there's more heart connection there.
Beautiful. By the way, we have a guest, Ron, who's our provocateur from Northern California.
Does your guest
like penetration? They're really asking penetrating questions today.
Do you like penetrative sex?
That's what Ron is asking.
Me?
Yes, exactly. He's asking.
I wanted to ask my girlfriend to just put a strap on it and gently fuck me in the ass, but it's really not my preference. As I said, I want to be the dominant one. Yeah, absolutely. I would do it only if that really turns on her and she really insists, and she can just, I really want to do this for you, and I would be so turned on. I would go into it, but it's really not my preference. Yeah.
You know that's where our G spot is, right?
The prostate, you mean? I bought this device. It's called something a prostate massage basic tool. The most famous one. It just gives pain in my ass. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how gently I was doing it for an hour, very slowly inside. It's just pain. Yes. I don't recommend it to anyone. I tried everything, but it's just I tried. At least I wanted to explore.
Yeah, I'm also the owner of one of those, and I enjoy it.
Nice.
Good for you. I don't know how you do it, but I think I
colonics every so often, which I find to be, I don't know if enjoyable, but it feels so good afterwards. It's like a whole nother bodily experience.
I heard all these feedbacks. I still couldn't reproduce it yet. For me, it's a day later it starts to hurt.
It's really where all our unspoken, unresolved emotions in a man always accumulate in the anus. That's why they would say, "Why are you being such a tight ass?"
Okay. That's
so Ron is celebrating you, Ron, and for Ron to celebrate somebody, it's a big deal.
And he put 5 stars.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron.
Ron is one of these people that lives on the edge. I mean, he is raw, unfiltered. I've never met anyone in my life when I'm like, okay, you could use some filters. So Ron is the one who is like the one who, former addict, still addict sometimes, I guess. He does shows he puts online called Fried Chicken. He goes online and just invites people on to talk about the most random things you could imagine. So that's Ron Vargas for anyone interested in finding out.
And thank you, Ron. It's you are an interesting person, and really, I like to meet up with you on Facebook.
Yeah, you have to. Ron is someone you need to follow. If anything, his videos are so random. You look and think, "Oh my God, what's going on here?" Like you're mesmerized by chaos.
It sounds like someone we want to bring on to the show. No?
I talked to him this morning. He's on the show. We just have to figure out the theme. Now he knows he has a space that he can be as open as he'd like. We have to see what he wants to be open about. So he'll be on. Yes.
If I can self-reflect or reflect on bamboos and the being vulnerable and feminine and stuff, I did it with my new girlfriend. She really opened me up for my sensitive side. So basically, I even castrated myself in the last couple of years because I just so much enjoy to be so sweet with her, always talking about love and connection and the divine energy, and it's just amazing, like I cannot stop to do this with her really, and that's the only challenge I have with her, because she always tries to pull me back to love, and she when she thinks about face, I already thinks about connection and heart connection, and like it's so sweet, so sweet.
When I witness you, Tomas, there's a kind of almost like childlike joy when you're talking about these things.
Yeah.
So about her, it's like you cannot imagine. Like I never knew that it can exist, even this kind of feeling that I have. And I told once to my colleagues that, or my friend actually, I told him I would rather get rid of my whole sexual desire just to, if I have to choose, I would choose this to just be sweet and I was with her the day before yesterday. I felt such a high, as if I took DMT or something, It's amazing what she leaves on my body, or I don't know, in this system, with her energy is insane. And I don't know how she does it, but it just happens.
It sounds like
sounds like what?
Chemistry.
Chemistry, yeah. Absolutely. But I think I associated the chemistry always with the physicality, but it just click, or just we almost never argued for the last 4 years we are together. Never. We just going higher and higher in love, and I'm just, I don't know how. It's like every single video talks about that there are always conflicts and frictions, and you have to compromise, but dude, I'm not compromising, and it's just she feels good, and never any sign of anything that I had in the past relationship. Like the early signals, they sometimes come, but I handle it all the time, always immediately.
Yeah, so it sounds like the directness that you've begun to bring into your life means that you actually don't have to suppress stuff, and that's what I'm hearing from you. And so it doesn't come out in those argument-like forms.
Exactly, yeah. So with her, I can be open, like I was with Bambus, and now it's as I'm sharing more and more, I see also in Bambus is authentic relating. Like I thought that I'm still somehow a little bit miserable, but when I'm meeting guys there, oh my gosh, I have nothing to do here. I should just leave. Like they have a misery really. It's like when I was in the sex addiction group.
Yeah,
I noticed that I'm not a sex addict really. This is like insane what they have been through, and I'm I just have some difficulty, like not really. Like it's okay. There is levels of like how much is it compulsive? Yes, I have some compulsivity, but it's not that insane. I'm not wasting all my money and my life on this. I'm not even watching porn anymore. Nothing compared to so interesting.
You were almost going, and you found a way to make sure to manage yourself that you actually connected more to the root and not outside of yourself. If I understand how you're explaining things,
that's how I feel.
Cutting the sex workers out, sort of communicating directly with your your girlfriend. So in a weird way, if I hear you, I mean, although you're not talking as a specialist, it's almost like I would say, wow, if I take a lesson away from this time, basically you cut out all the behavior that was taking you away from the connection in yourself, and you added the behavior that would kept you bringing you a reinforcing positive loop. which is quite a beautiful evolution if I hear it that way.
Thank you. I feel very extremely positive since I met her. I broke up. That was my highest peak basically when I broke up, and my first tantra festival that Bambo sent me to, and he didn't show up. But anyways, I was high for 3 months. Like I didn't know what happens, and that was basically the strongest signal that there is something much more than the physicality and this compulsivity. So since then I'm just exploring, and I feel like I'm just going higher and higher. Of course, winter, for example, I was like, but yeah, I start to embrace also. He was teaching me a lot, embracing all these, unpleasant, but it's just a feeling, let's go through it, let's be unpleasant. So yeah. And like now with the spring, this is the first year basically when I feel like I always used to say like for me spring and winter is the same, but now I felt like winter was like and spring like a rocket spaceship or something. I was singing at the park yesterday, walking backwards, running backwards, and all crazy shit. Like if I'm against smoking or anything.
Yeah.
Interesting, really, how I start to be more sensitive and stuff. Yeah. So absolutely, I feel like I grew a lot.
I love it. I mean, if I just sort of see it, like, what would you say? By the way, yeah, you said the threesome was sort of the thing that was on your mind. Is there anything else? We only have a few minutes left, so it would be great just to maybe hear from last subjects from you.
So the most important thing that I had to embrace in the last couple of years is that I want to really have sex with my niece. And
with your niece?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And that my girlfriend helped a lot with this, like extremely lots. Like she always listened to me when I told her, and she never even made a strange comment. And also my best friend, he just told me that in some other countries it's just everyday reality. Like I'm putting these puzzles together. Like okay, it's Hungarian conditioning, to be honest. Like somebody they even get married and stuff, and also like putting pieces together from online learnings that having an emotional connection, which I had a lot with her, and it's generating these things. Like, and that's why I also know there's not only physicality to it. To be honest, it's also that we had a connection, and also the secrecy, and like the out of the society and doing something crazy. It also, there's a big chunk of that. And yeah, to be honest, I just enjoy it now. Like there's nobody to judge around me anymore. I left all my family behind, so all these things has to be also processed, that they would just judge me all the time. I don't really want to have them in my life. I want people who just accept me as I am. Yeah, for now this is how I am, and why not? I mean, if you judge me, good, you are a saint, then go on your way, and good luck. But
I take away a similar kind of version over and over again, is that to some degree the thing that is not allowed is often the thing that feels the most exciting, the most desirable. And I've often found that in my own life, is that when as a child, I went to the Catholic school, and obviously they gave me all the you can't do this, you can't do that, and somehow that defined, I want this now. You've made it not, and then every time before there was a deep excitement and to that addictive excitement, like, oh, I'm going against what's allowed. There was a deep feeling there for me, for sure. Yeah. Well, listen, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying that I'm also dissolving this desire in that. So since it's completely allowed, to be honest, it's less turning on. Really, it was really turning on in the past, and now it's getting better. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we're coming up on the hour. I'd just like to thank you for joining. As I said before we started, and Mariana mentioned, it's incredible the amount of comfort you have just being you, even on a video with us, and just letting other people see you for who you are. That's just to be incredibly commended. because in so many ways, there's so many of us that experience similar things, but we just don't feel the comfort in sharing because we know that there'll be people out there judging. And the sad thing is that so many other people have similar feelings that they also don't feel comfortable with. It takes people that like Tomas to say, hey, I'm going to let myself be seen here. And so thank you for joining us.
Thanks for owning it.
I wanted to give this gift to everybody, really. That's why I was so excited to join and really share, to let people know that they are not alone, really.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you guys for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Get back to work. You have stuff to do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Bye.
Peace.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. What? You want to say something? Oh, yeah. Before we go, we have a few things to discuss.
So we're just going to put Tomas off.
So we'll see you, Tomas. Yep. Bye.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, we knew that Tomas was going to be an interesting character for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this evening we have authentic relating game nights. We start at 6. Please, if you want to join, please log in at least 10 to 6. Make sure your mic and your camera are working. And that was the only thing I wanted to add.
Yeah. No, I mean, as I'm always saying, I always have the book nearby. If you're looking to look at a journey, this is the book, the last letter that I wrote. It's always nice to check it out. It's my journey from basically the loss of my mom and kind of realizing and discovering all the lessons that helped me make peace with that, and just finally make peace with just the joy of living. Right. Yes.
So a wonderful chaos. What edition are we on? 13.
Yeah, I guess that's 13.
Have a beautiful day, guys. Enjoy your Wednesday.
All the best. Bye.